In August 2016, a popular Hong Kong-based exchange, Bitfinex, announced devastating news which shook the entire cryptocurrency market. The exchange was hacked and 119,756 bitcoins were stolen, and this is still marked as the largest hack of its kind to date. The hackers had been inside the company's servers for weeks before attempting the heist. They watched the users on the cryptocurrency exchange buy and sell bitcoins, and studied the commands that controlled the security system. They weren't after bitcoins exactly. Bitcoins only exist as entries in a database maintained by computers around the world. What they needed were the private keys, cryptographic passwords that would allow them to unlock the coins and move them. The hackers raised the exchange's daily withdrawal limit from 2,500 bitcoins to 1 million, more than enough to empty out the whole vault. Then, using the private keys, they started broadcasting instructions to transfer Bitfinex bitcoins to addresses they controlled on the blockchain. Over the next 3 hours and 51 minutes, the hackers stole more than half the holdings of what was then one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. When Bitfinex executives realized what had happened, they hired a security team to search the server's memory for clues. But the researchers got no evidence or traces. Before logging off, the hackers had effectively wiped their digital fingerprints. The only information Bitfinex had was the 34-character addresses on the blockchain where the hackers sent the money. For years, most of the funds stayed in those digital wallets, more or less untouched. By 2021, the stolen bitcoins were worth more than $8 billion, making the theft the richest in history. The money was sitting right there, but there was no obvious way to figure out who'd taken it. And without the hackers' private keys, there was no way for police to get it back. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, an Internal Revenue Service agent working from his basement had found a clue. The wallets seemed to be connected to a New York City couple in their early 30s, Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan. Judging from social media, these two didn't exactly appear to be criminal geniuses. Lichtenstein, who goes by Dutch, had curly hair, and Morgan composed music, extravagantly bad music that she wrote and released in videos on YouTube and TikTok. In one song, she even bragged about her hacking skills. She was living with Lichtenstein in a $7,000 a month high-rise apartment on Wall Street. Morgan met Lichtenstein about 7 years ago in San Francisco, where she had moved to work at a startup. It seemed unlikely that someone who tried to rhyme
Razzlekhan's the name, that hot grandma, you really want to bang,
could in fact be a master thief. Then again, this is the crypto world where a lack of experience hasn't always been a barrier to fame and fortune, and where large-scale hacks are a regular occurrence. Bitcoin exchanges basically have one job: to keep the cash and crypto sent by users safe. And since the beginning of the industry, they've failed at it. In 2021, a total of $3.2 billion in cryptocurrency was stolen from exchanges and decentralized finance apps. That's 100 times more than the total stolen in all bank robberies in an average year in the US. At the time it was hacked, Bitfinex was seen as one of the most reputable exchanges. But it wasn't exactly fully secured either. It was originally based on code copied by a young Frenchman for an exchange called Bitcoinica that was widely seen as insecure. Bitfinex set up a new security system after it lost about $400,000 of cryptocurrencies in a 2015 hack. Other exchanges generally mixed users' coins together and stored the private keys on computers that weren't connected to the internet, a practice known as cold storage. The new system kept each user's balance in a separate address on the blockchain, allowing customers to see for themselves where their money was. It used software from San Francisco-based crypto security company BitGo. The BitGo software was programmed to automatically approve transfers under a certain limit, so small withdrawals wouldn't be delayed. But it required a Bitfinex executive to manually sign off on large ones. So even if Bitfinex got hacked, only a small number of bitcoins would be stolen at most. But the system configuration was flawed. The limit could be changed with a computer command sent by someone with a Bitfinex executive's electronic credentials. And that's what the hackers did after first using a remote access Trojan to infiltrate the exchange. Such malware lets attackers gain full control of a target's computer, as if they were sitting at the keyboard. The hackers were only stopped when someone at Bitfinex happened to check account balances and noticed something was off. Michael Sholov, a former coder for the Israeli Intelligence Corps, says, "Hacks like these generally don't require a high level of technical expertise. Often the hardest part is crafting an email that tricks an insider into opening a malicious attachment." This statement seemed like a clue. Morgan had given a talk titled "How to Social Engineer Your Way into Anything" at an event where she said, social engineering involves getting someone to share information or take an action that they otherwise would not. For 5 months, the stolen bitcoins didn't move. It seemed the hackers had forgotten a crucial part of their plan: to actually use the stolen bitcoins and to erase the connection to the hack. One place where stolen bitcoins were welcome was AlphaBay. It was a marketplace on the dark web, a hidden part of the internet accessible only through an anonymous browser. Roughly $22,000 worth of the hacked bitcoins were moved to AlphaBay in a series of small transactions. The bitcoins sent to AlphaBay were mixed together, making them harder to trace. Once a user withdrew their funds to a new address, their bitcoins could be traced back only as far as AlphaBay. The second exchange account with the new address was opened by Liechtenstein using his real name, and in the process he had to send a selfie to verify his identity. The only person who knew the connection between Liechtenstein and the hacked funds would be the person running AlphaBay, commonly known as Alpha02. Unfortunately for the hackers, AlphaBay was already the target of a separate investigation. Police from several countries figured out that Alpha02 was a 25-year-old Canadian named Alexander Cases, who had moved to Thailand and was living a luxurious life. This was all due to a single mistake, where he used his real email address to send a message. Investigators held a special operation called Operation Bayonet. Royal Thai police rammed a car into the front gate of a compound in Bangkok where Cases was living, and the police detained him. According to the Bangkok Post, Cases was arrested and died in prison a week later in what appeared to be a suicide. But he left behind lots of evidence. Inside his compound, police found his laptop, open and logged into AlphaBay. Among the US federal agents who had traveled to Bangkok for the AlphaBay bust was Chris Jancewski, a 33-year-old special agent with the IRS. On January 5, 2022, Jancewski and other federal agents entered the apartment at 75 Wall Street. As the agents started looking for phones and computers, Morgan and Liechtenstein said they wanted to leave the apartment and take Clarissa with them. She said the cat was hiding under their bed and crouched down next to a nightstand. While calling the cat, she grabbed a phone off the nightstand and started desperately hitting the lock button. Jancewski pulled it from her hands. Under the bed, the agents found a bin full of electronics, including a zip-top bag labeled burner phone and a red and white striped toiletries bag holding 9 more phones. They seized at least 4 thumb drives that hold the cryptographic passwords to a user's bitcoins, and a pocketbook stuffed with $40,000 in cash. In Liechtenstein's office, they found 2 books that had been hollowed out to create hidden cavities. After an initial search of their electronic devices, the agents hadn't found the private keys to the stolen bitcoins. They didn't have enough evidence to arrest the couple. 5 days after the search, Morgan released a new song. In the song, at one point she even says, "Don't forget an exit plan." By then, the agents got the permission to search Liechtenstein's cloud storage accounts. In one of them, they found a list of fake IDs, both male and female, and notes suggesting the couple had gone to Kyiv in 2019 to buy debit cards under pseudonyms. It looked to the agents as if Liechtenstein and Morgan had been preparing to flee the country. On January 31, they cracked the encryption on one of Liechtenstein's files and found the private keys to nearly 2,000 Bitcoin addresses tied to the Bitfinex hack. The government now had control of $3.6 billion. Liechtenstein and Morgan were charged with conspiracy to commit money laundering. Liechtenstein was held without bail, and Morgan was released on $3 million bond. The question of who did the actual social engineering and hacking wasn't addressed, and since the data were deleted, it may never be.